Item number 9, video copyright. So we were provided some information with regard to the copyright that's on the website that posts our video. And we have an opportunity now to discuss that copyright notice and discuss if we want to maintain that notice, if we want to remove that notice, or if we want to modify the notice. So let's just kind of open that discussion on where we are.
Just some background information. It was New Trier School District that we got the language from, brought it to our attorney, said, is this something that makes sense? Our attorney, John Fester, said in looking at Illinois school law, or Illinois law, that it was something that we could include. I know that there was on a Facebook account some reference to a California court case, and our attorney had looked at that and said that that's true for California, but there's no laws in Illinois that would preclude us from putting that in place. It was never our intention to go after people. We never expected to sue them, try and get any sort of money. It just was a way, hopefully, to discourage people from taking it off our website and then hosting it on their own website. We had wanted our website to be the place that anybody who wants to go to, they can look at the videos, they can look at the unedited videos. We will never take out the things that we don't feel went well, or we would just, from the beginning to the end of the meeting, those are there unless we take a break. We can include whatever you'd like. I don't know if anyone even takes it serious when they see the copyright, but it was a way to make it clear that our hope was that people would visit our website to be able to see the unedited video.
So the purpose of putting the copyright on there was so that people would be encouraged to see the unedited version instead of an edited version.
Correct. There's not that anyone would do this, but fake news is probably the talk all over the internet right now, where people will take little snippets of what other people said and take them out of context and then portray it in the way that they want. And so this was a way to be able to say, come to our website, it's all there. If you'd like to reference it, if you have a website and say, gosh, I looked at the video from the other day, look at 2 hours and 10 minutes into the meeting, I thought that was interesting, that we would prefer to have it within the full context of the conversation rather than just a particular part.
Okay.
But again, this was what made sense this is new to us, and so we wanted to be able to protect the school district and get people to come to our website. But if we want to make any changes at all, if there's legal components, we can ask our attorney. If we want to get rid of it altogether, we can do that also.
I was concerned about the California, so I had asked the question about whether or not there was anything in Illinois law. And if there's nothing in Illinois law that prohibits us from having it, I would prefer to maintain it. That's my viewpoint.
Great. And Eunice, were you going to say something?
Well, I would, after seeing that email and seeing some information about how we might be violating copyright, I mean, I did have a chance to read through some copyright, it's called subject matter scope of copyright, and really, I think that in my mind, after upon seeing it, I'm like, and really when we spoke about videotaping, how we wanted people to access our video, the intent was to make it available to the public, and so that they can attend a meeting without actually physically being here. And the point of it is to make sure it's a true representation of what happens here. And I think copyright, based on what I read, it's not intended to fine anyone, but also to protect us from it's called attribution and integrity. And so, when people, I can see, because you see it on TV, like on ads for commercials, is that people take bits and pieces, and whether or not they do it intentionally could be twisted. And I would really hate the whole idea of the video is supposed to help our constituents be a part of the district. I don't want to spend more time defending us because some select public might want to twist. And so I would like to maintain the copyright as long as our attorneys say it's okay. But that's my reasoning for it.
I don't mind maintaining the copyright, but I think that without some sort of I didn't want to say punitive, but without going after people who do violate the copyright, it's basically, there's no reason for it to be there.
Yeah, I agree. It's like telling a kid if you don't clean your room, you're grounded, and then not
You don't
grounded.
know. But I understand, but so I'm more of the opinion, we keep the copyright notice there, but we use technology. We block it so that no one can copy it off, can download it from our site. We make sure that we have a timestamp across the board on everything, so that if the numbers so if they, well, I mean, there are people who are good enough to take that out, but I don't think people talking about will. But that way, if you can see, you drop from, 9:10 to 9:20, you know that there were seconds cut out. And just little things like that to protect us would probably, for me, would work better than having copyright notice with no bite.
So the ability to right-click and save is something that we looked into and cannot do with our current website, but we're hoping with the next website for next year that we'd have the ability to lock that.
Can we do timestamping across the board on the bottom?
If that's something you want us to do as a board, we can put a timestamp across the bottom.
It's a good way to protect us. If you're clipping things together, generally people will see this timestamp. We can point out missing pieces.
So, yeah, Bob, did you have a thought?
Yeah, I mean, even before the gentleman sent us the email that said, take it off because we look silly, I mean, I noticed it myself and had planned on bringing it up as a item for a future agenda just because I was not expecting to see it, so it was sort of news to me that we were doing. I didn't do extensive research, but I sort of looked at the websites of communities around us and no one seemed to be taking that same step to try to prevent people from copying it, so it does seem like we are trying to be less transparent than our neighbors, and I could see if we started to have trouble that we might want to take steps, but this almost asks for people to, like the Freedom of Information, he wants a copy of it just so he can put it on his website just to, rub our noses in it, so I almost seems like it's a solution to a problem that we don't even know exists quite yet, but again, the neighboring communities don't have anything like that, so it makes me wonder, why do we feel it's necessary to try to scare people from doing it when our neighbors aren't doing that, and they've been doing it for a lot longer than we have.
Because I feel that we do have a group that has been on, especially the village ones, to cut the 5 minutes and ignore the rest of it, and those 5 minutes without the supporting around it looks really bad. And we, in our community, have a history and precedence of this happening. Especially right now with the upcoming information for the building taxes and everything else. I guess I do feel like we need to protect ourselves more. And we try so hard to be transparent. We try so hard to be out there and trying to give out the correct information, and yet all this information, no matter what happens, is still twisted. Once it gets to on social media, it's completely twisted. And then just like that thing with pulling California law or New Jersey law, whatever, and all that stuff, all it does is mix it up. Yes, California doesn't allow it, federal law does, Illinois does it. Talking about New Jersey law or whatever else, and they muddy the water so much now that, and putting out information that's 5 years old out there.
So-
I feel a lot more that we need to protect ourselves.
Do other school districts have video?
I got it from New Trier is where
No,
I
but
got
I mean in general in the area, do other school districts?
Well, Bob
record?
said he looked at some.
Again, I only looked at like the ones that we neighbor, like the Naperville, Downers, Wheaton, Warrenville,
So they-
someone else, and nobody had that same one.
They all have videos on their website, they all have their board, but none of them had that.
Yep.
I think Ann's right, they may not have the issues that Lisle in particular has had before. I think it makes us, I mean, we're trying to be more transparent, saying, here's the whole video,
Yeah.
not just a snippet or a segment of it, here's the whole video. If you want to hear the whole story, watch that whole section.
Right.
Well, and so I have a couple questions, but Eunice, you also had something?
Well, my thought is that if we're gonna publish something, we don't have to spend any money to copyright anything. We don't have to register it in any way. But anything that anyone publishes, even if I did a podcast of some sort, I should be able to copyright that. It is, quite frankly, our right as creators to do that. That's one. But also, in my mind, I mean, I'm not a lawyer or a patent lawyer for that matter, but in my mind, what I've read, I think I would be more in support of keeping that. And if we need to put in some type of disclaimer that would pull in, I'm reading this, section 107, limitations on exclusive rights on fair use. If someone wants to use it for a, like not criticism, but yeah, or analysis of, let's say, how well a school board interacts with one another, they would pull a snippet from our video, in which case they have every right to do that. There are limitations, but really the copyright's here to protect us without infringing on somebody's right to use it for educational purposes, if that's what they choose to do.
So I had a question of what is our purpose? I heard Eunice refer to the point when we decided to put it up there. Do we remember what specifically our purpose for putting the video on the website was?
Yeah, and Eunice is right. It's for the people that can't be here at the meeting, they can see the whole meeting, see what they missed. Makes it more available, makes our meetings more available to everyone.
Right, so I thought it was about more availability and about transparency. And the other thing I thought it was also about was truth. That we wanted people to be able to see what was the truth of what we said, as opposed to having it be interpreted with sound bites. So from that perspective, I feel like it makes sense to keep it on there. And I guess it makes me also ask the next question of if people aren't using it to see what actually happens, but instead people are using it to, like the Freedom of Information Act that was in our packet said, to take and put in their own website and do whatever they want with it. That's not our purpose of why we're even videotaping our meetings. So, I mean, it would make me say, well, then our purpose isn't being filled. So I would hope that people are using it to see what the truth is of what happens. And from that sense, I would be in support of maintaining it and then seeing what happens. And then making the next decision, whatever that next decision might be. If things start to get portrayed in ways that aren't really the truth, or portrayed in ways as we aren't being transparent, if the purpose isn't really filled for what we said, then we can figure out where we go. So do we want to kind of take a straw man of where we are? Given the, what's going on, does that work? Yeah, okay, so I kind of heard Eunice, I heard you say you'd be in favor
Yes, I'm in favor
of
of
keeping it. Mm-hmm. And Meg?
In favor of keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping it.
And Ann? Mm-hmm. Great. Wendy?
I say take it off. I mean, if you're not gonna do anything anyways, what's the point of having it there?
Okay.
And I'm in favor of taking it off, just creates a perception that we're trying to be more secretive than the idea of having the video there in the first place.
Okay. And I would be in favor of keeping it as well. I don't know, do I vote? I guess it doesn't matter. If we have 2 for taking it off and 3 for keeping it, then I would say that it sounds like what we've decided is to keep it on, at least for now. And I guess my next question would be, when should we discuss this issue again? Is this going to be something we want to talk about in January again? Do we want to wait and see what happens the next couple weeks and then possibly put it as an agenda item? I don't know. What do you guys think for next steps? Yeah.
I'd say if it creates a hubbub of why is Lisle being so secretive when no one else is, then that's probably a time to bring it up for discussion.
Yeah, I'd also like to see how many schools videotape their meetings and then have up copyright notices. Like, how many schools are actually videotaping their meetings, and then out of those that are videotaping their meetings, how many put up a copyright notice? Like, in surrounding area, Illinois, whatever. I don't know where this other school
Yeah,
is.
St. Traverse is nowhere near us. So.
I've never even heard of it.
Oh,
Well,
Well, it's a phenomenal
It's
school.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's one of the top
Right.
schools on the North Shore.
Oh,
I'd like to throw in my 2 cents. I mean, if we're thinking about next steps, I mean, if it tends to be a time sucker, when we're using funds to talk to our lawyer over a copyright message, or how many people are clicking on it, how are we gonna wanna continue our videotaping? Because quite frankly, we've got big decisions to make, and granted, I think it's very important for us to be very transparent, like, as you mentioned, but we have minutes, we have, we're renovating our website, we're doing a lot to make ourselves accessible, and if the video is going to be distracting us, I would like to put that on a future item if it comes to that.
Yeah, I think we need to, I think we do need to keep it as an agenda item again for next month, to just check in about the video and see where we are, see what happens in the next 4 weeks.
And having Pam's opinion as well.
And, right,
Yeah.
and having PM's input will be great too. I think that's great. And I guess, Bob, I can't leave this item without saying, it's hard for me to see why the copyright notice makes us seem less transparent.
We don't want anybody to share it, so, you know, instead of, if we make some decision that is unpopular, that can't be shared over social media with people that disagree with it, they somehow have to.
Right, but I guess I would say that's not really true, because you could share it, and like somebody can post on Facebook, hey, go to this video, I mean, they can post the link.
Here's the link.
Go to this link on here and go to, I love the timestamp, go to 2 hours and 15 minutes in it, see the goofy board talking about the copyright notice or whatever they might want to say, right?
not 2 hours, though.
They can absolutely point to it, but it's not their property where they can take it and edit it. So I guess, I mean, I think that we're being very transparent. I think it's appropriate for us to share the video with people, but we're asking them to go to our video instead of having them restate it.
what if we, instead of a copyright, just put that, like just a blurb that said, hey, instead of taking this video and snipping it on your own page, why don't you just put the link and direct people to our website? Like, couldn't we just do a blurb instead of an actual copyright?
And I think that goes back to the whole thing of, does the copyright notice have any bite to it? And would a
Right.
blurb have any bite to it? And I did like is that easy data for us to get about how many people are clicking to the video?
That's another downside of our current web providers. We can't get that
Data.
metrics
Okay.
back, but it would appear the new company will allow us to.
Okay. Because I think that would be helpful too. If we know there's one person who's upset about the copyright notice and we've got 25 people who are watching it, then we're like, okay, whatever, they can be upset about that, or maybe we change it or whatever.
Is it next year chronologically or next year as the school year?
I thought we were talking about July 1st, weren't we?
Okay, so school year.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
We'll have it up and running and we'll be building it in the background and putting things up and things like that, but it won't go public until July.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for that conversation, you guys. I think that's great work. We'll continue to move forward. Speaking of which, item 10